In this video, I'll cover the essential music theory concepts you need to get started with producing, songwriting, composing, improvising, or learning any instrument, such as guitar, piano, etc. These fundamental principles are applicable across all musical genres, and they enable you to express yourself creatively through music. We'll use clear, easy-to-follow motion graphics to ensure beginners can easily grasp every concept. Let's dive in. First things first, let's talk about notes. We have 12 different notes to choose from. Notes that have a sharp sign, like A sharp, can also be called by a flat name. So A sharp is also known as B flat. Indeed, they're the exact same sound, just with two different names. The same goes for other sharps. For example, C sharp is also D flat, and so on. That said, each note is separated by the smallest musical interval, a semitone. Combine two semitones and you get a whole tone. 12 semitones make an octave. Now things get even more interesting. We don't just have one octave. Music spans multiple octaves. When we move to the right on the piano keyboard, we encounter the same notes, just at higher octaves, meaning they have a higher pitch. Conversely, moving to the left lowers the octaves, giving the notes a deeper sound. To know which octave we're in, we add a number next to the note, like C3, C4, C5, or G3, G4, G5, and so on. If anything's unclear so far, please drop a comment below. Now onto keys and scales, a central part of music. Despite having 12 notes, most songs primarily use just 7. You might be wondering, why do most songs use only 7 notes? Which notes are they? It all depends on the key of the song. Every song is composed in a specific key, which consists of 7 notes that follow a certain pattern. We'll see this pattern shortly. The most commonly used keys in music are the major and minor keys, making up 99% of modern songs. Let's start with the major key. Take the key of C major as an example. The notes in this key are C, D, E, F, G, A, and B. What we're looking at right now with the C major key is essentially a scale, the sequence of all notes in a key. In this case, C is the tonic note, or the first note of the scale. By examining the C major scale, we can understand the basic structure of any major key. This pattern, tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone, defines the structure of a major key. With this knowledge, you can build any major scale. Just apply the same pattern, starting from the desired tonic note, which is the note the key is named after. For instance, here's how the G major scale is formed. So if we say a song is in G major, it will use only these specific notes. I know you might be wondering, why stick to a key? Why limit ourselves to just 7 notes when there are 12 available? The reason is straightforward. A key provides a structural framework that turns notes into pleasing music. If we randomly played all 12 notes in a piece, the result would likely sound dissonant and chaotic. By adhering to a key and using just 7 notes, we ensure the music sounds harmonious and pleasing. Let's illustrate this with an example. Listen as I play the C major scale. Can you hear how the C major scale sounds pleasing and has a kind of happy, uplifting vibe? You might also notice how the tonic note, C, provides a sense of complete resolution. In contrast, other notes create varying degrees of tension, with the 7th degree, B, feeling the most tense. Do you feel that too? Now, let's compare this by listening to the chromatic scale, which includes all 12 notes. Can you hear how the chromatic scale sounds more dissonant and somewhat flat compared to the C major scale? That's because the major scale's specific structure evokes clear sensations of tension and resolution, creating a dynamic and pleasing musical experience. In contrast, playing all 12 notes results in a less structured, more random sound that we might describe as noisy. The feelings of tension and resolution are lost, making it less pleasing to our ears and not quite meeting what we typically consider a musical result. While there are times when using notes outside the key can work, generally these non-diatonic notes can sound displeasing unless used with advanced music theory techniques. Keep in mind, sticking to a single key is usually enough to craft engaging music. Many classic hits stick to one key from start to finish. By keeping it simple, you can achieve impressive musical outcomes without delving into complex theory that isn't necessary to get started with music. One last important concept is the scale degree. Each note in a scale is assigned a number based on its position. For instance, in the C major scale, C is 1 as it's the first note, D is 2, E is 3, and so on. Referring to scale degrees rather than note names is incredibly useful because each note in a piece carries a specific emotional weight, like tension or resolution, based on its position in the scale. For example, the first degree in any major key typically conveys stability and resolution, while the seventh degree feels unstable and tense, as we've seen while playing the C major scale a moment ago. So each scale degree carries its unique emotional message. This concept is crucial for recognizing notes and chords by ear alone, an essential skill that transforms good musicians into great ones. Stay tuned until the end of the video to learn how anyone can unlock this superpower and elevate their musical intuition to astonishing new heights. Let's wrap up our discussion on scales before moving on to chords. We've covered the major scale, one of two main scales in modern music. The other is the minor scale. It's important to understand that a minor key is essentially a major key, starting from its sixth degree. In fact, each minor key contains the same notes as its relative major key. For example, A minor uses the same notes as C major, as you can see here. They are essentially the same scale. One starts on A and the other on C. The same relationship applies between G major and E minor, for example, and any other major or minor key. So practically there's no difference between, say, E minor and G major, as they contain the same notes. But why do we often describe a song as being in E minor rather than G major, or vice versa? We say a song is in E minor and not G major when the minor tonic is emphasized more than the major tonic. The minor tonic evokes a sense of returning home, but with a melancholic undertone. In contrast, the major tonic offers a happy, joyful vibe. Whether a song is categorized in a major or its relative minor key depends on which tonic, major or minor, is more prominently featured. Let's explore this example. I can feel this is the tonic emphasized by the song. And it's the tonic of the minor key, which in this case is D. Now listen to a different idea.
Driving down the sunshine road on a sunny day, windows down, radio up, just singing away. Fields of the rolling hills, as far as I can see, feeling a pure joy.
Here, the tonic is Do, and it's the tonic of the major key. In this instance, it's B flat. By the way, identifying the tonic note of a song by ear, as I've just done, is more than a neat trick. It's a gateway to decoding all notes and chords in a piece of music by ear alone. It's a skill that will fundamentally change how you connect with and interact with music. Again, stick around until the end of the video to learn more about it. Let's move on from scales to another fundamental music concept: chords. Chords are simply a group of notes played together or one at a time in a sequence, known as arpeggiation. The most basic and widely used chords in modern music are triads, which are three-note chords. There are four types of triads: major, minor, diminished, and augmented. However, major and minor triads are by far the most common and are more than sufficient to create excellent music, which makes diminished and augmented triads not essential for those starting out. Let's break down how these are built, starting with a major triad. Take the C major triad, for example. In this example, C is the root of the triad, E is the third, and G is the fifth. We can see how in major triads there are two tones between the root and the third, and 1.5 tones between the third and the fifth. For a minor triad, the pattern is slightly different. Let's look at the C minor triad. In the next segment, we'll explore a crucial concept: harmonizing chords to a key. This is vital for applying chords and triads effectively in real-world music creation. Remember, every piece of music is based on a key, usually major or minor. A song that follows a key will only use notes that belong to that key, a rule that also applies to building chords. For example, in the C major key, an E flat minor chord, which consists of the notes E flat, G flat, and B flat, doesn't fit because it contains notes outside the key, thus is considered a non-diatonic chord. Using chords outside of a key can often result in discordant sounds. This highlights the importance of harmonizing chords to a key to achieve a musical outcome. Let's dive into how to harmonize chords within a major key, using C major as our example. We begin by constructing a chord on each scale degree of the C major scale. Starting with the first degree, we naturally form a C major chord. We can't create a minor chord here because it would require an E flat, which isn't in the C major key. Moving to the second degree, a D minor chord fits perfectly, since a D major chord would need an F sharp, another note not found in the C major scale. This logic of determining chord quality, whether a chord is major, minor, diminished, etc., applies to all 7 degrees of the major key, resulting in a consistent pattern. The first, fourth, and fifth degrees generate major chords. The second, third, and sixth degrees form minor chords, and the seventh degree produces a diminished triad. This pattern is universal and can be applied to any major key. For example, in the key of G major, the chords follow the same logic. G is the first degree chord and it's major. A is the second and it's minor. B is the third and it's minor, and so on. Now, when it comes to harmonizing chords in a minor key, the concept is quite similar, but with a twist. In a minor key, the chord pattern follows the same sequence as a major key, but starts from the 6th degree of that major key. So in this case, the first degree hosts a minor chord, the second a diminished chord, and the third presents a major chord. The fourth and fifth degrees host minor chords, while the 6th and 7th degrees offer major chords. If there's a topic I haven't covered yet and you have questions, leave a comment below. Another key insight for practical music making involves using numbers or Roman numerals to reference chords by their scale degrees, as you've already seen in the previous graphics. This method allows musicians to communicate chord progressions universally, regardless of the key. For example, consider the common progression 6-4-1-5. This indicates that the chord progression of the song starts with the chord built on the 6th degree of the scale, then moves to the 4th degree, follows with the 1st degree, and concludes with the 5th degree. In C major, this chord progression would be A minor, F major, C major, and G major. Great! Now you know every essential music theory concept you need to get started with music. But as I mentioned earlier, a fundamental step for any musician, producer, songwriter, etc., is to develop an intuitive understanding of music. Imagine effortlessly recognizing chords, scales, and notes by ear alone, as naturally as you understand spoken language. This isn't just a dream. Everyone can achieve this, and it's the cornerstone of your ability to express yourself creatively with music. Luckily, you're in the perfect place. Our channel offers an innovative method designed to teach ear training from scratch, even if you think you don't have musical talent. If you're new to ear training, start with this video up here, whereas if you already have some experience with ear training, this video up here will highlight the limitations of traditional methods and reveal the #1 secret that will dramatically improve your ear training skills. Don't wait. Having a great ear will significantly accelerate your musical journey and expand the opportunities available to you, far beyond than just understanding basic music theory concepts.